Good evening, Purple family. Welcome to another episode of Shades of Purple, a Prince podcast. On tonight's episode, I have another top 10. And on tonight's top 10, we're going to be talking about Prince's Purple Ladies. And so what do I mean when I say Purple Ladies? Well, basically, I mean just the women in Prince's life. Women that he dated, married, worked with. Women that really just stood out in his life and helped him to accomplish his goals as a musician. Now, I know what you're thinking. Like, Prince was very much a ladies' man. But at the same time, while he loved women, he really also appreciated women with talent, especially musical talent. And so he really helped to cultivate a lot of these women's careers. So he wasn't just sleeping with them and using them, even though some of that did go on. But for the most part, Prince really cared for these women, really loved them, and wanted them to have careers. And a lot of them did. A lot of them did go on to have careers and lives after Prince. So basically, how I decided who my top 10 favorites were basically, just my personal choice of the things that I've learned about some of them, their interactions with Prince, what they accomplished with him, what we kind of gained to know about Prince as far as his personality and his work ethic through them, just different little tidbits, because for the most part, Prince throughout his life was still very much a private person. And so we only saw the Prince that he wanted us to see. And so with his dealings with a lot of these women that's in this countdown, that kind of gave us a picture of kind of the man that he was and not just the musician. So let's just get right into it. So my number 10 lady is Kim Basinger. So I know a lot of people in the Prince community don't care for Kim Basinger, and I really don't know where the hate is coming from with that. I've heard people complain about, how she just was an opportunist and how she really didn't love Prince, and there's a lot of, different complaints about her. And I think now that Kim Basinger is, in her 60s, she's older, she really didn't say, I think she... after Prince passed, she really didn't have too much to say. I mean, of course, she said that she will miss him, but she really didn't speak too much about their time together. She just made this kind of offhanded comment of, well, that was then, this is now, and, I love that time in my life, and, that was the younger me, yada, yada, yada. So she really didn't have much to say, but I read somewhere, and I can't remember where, that around the time that Prince was working on the Beautiful Ones memoir, that supposedly she was a little shook, thinking that Prince was going to reveal some more little tidbits about their relationship. So I don't know how true that is, and I really don't know if Prince would have went into too much detail. But based on what he wrote, where he talked about his first sexual experience, his first girlfriend, I don't know if he would have named names. I mean, he was naming names of those women, but those were women that were not well known. Those were just regular around the way girl type women. So, but as far as the celebrities like Kim that he dealt with, I don't know how far he would go as far as kissing and telling, because once again, Prince was such a very private person. So I don't see him spilling the beans on her. But supposedly she was a little shook, thinking that he might. But unfortunately, of course, he died and he wasn't able to finish the memoir. But I really wish, and I did say this in my Beautiful Ones review, that I wish that he would have finished it, because I think it would have really would have been a good book, and we really would have got, some more insight into his personality, because like I said, he was just so mysterious and he only let us see so much. And I think with this book, with the Beautiful Ones, I think that he was trying to, rectify some of that. In his older age, he was getting more comfortable with himself and having, being more open with people. A lot of people commented that he was a lot nicer than what he used to be when he was younger. He wasn't as strict with his band. Third Eye Girl, for example, Hannah Welton commented that, she felt like Prince was like an older, uncle to her, and how they would sit around and jam and talk, and, he wasn't, too messed up about them making mistakes. He said, mistakes are to learn from, and, sometimes mistakes can be a good thing. And I could just hear, in my mind, like people that were in the early MBG or people in the Revolution being like, what? Like, that's not the Prince we knew. So Prince had really come to a point in the last few years of his life where he was just, not a completely different person, but he was, starting to, just accept that, he's getting older, and, he was getting, he'd always been wise, but, he's just having more of a relaxed, attitude, which, he never really had that in his earlier years. And, but anyway, I'm finna get off on a tangent on that. So let me get back to Kim Basinger. Sorry. So they met on the set of the first Batman movie, the Batman movie that came out in 1989. Now, my last episode, I just did a review of the Batman album. And in that, I briefly talk about, of course, the song Scandalous, which supposedly has Kim Basinger's moans. So they got it on in the studio. Now, I don't know if this was something that Prince added on later, because I don't think at least I hope, that he didn't do this in real time. You know what I'm saying? So he might have just, recorded it. Hopefully she knew about this. I don't know if she, I'm pretty sure, of course, now she knows, but I don't know, how long it took her to find out that that's what, went down. But they had seems like a very passionate relationship. She wasn't as musically inclined. And so generally speaking, with women like that who aren't as musically inclined as Prince is, he usually doesn't, have them around for too long, because he really likes to collaborate with these women that he's involved with. He's not just, like I said, he's not just a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Now, not to say that he didn't do that, because I'm pretty sure he probably did. But if it was a woman that he really considered himself maybe wanting to have this woman around for a little while, he really wanted to connect with them on a musical level, because that was Prince's love language, was making music. And so if this woman couldn't do this, she wasn't going to be around for too long. But apparently with Kim's case, she did stick around for a little while. She really grew to love Prince, and she ended up moving into Paisley Park for a little while. And so how they ended up breaking up, so there's like two stories. And I talk about this also in another early episode I did, talking about Prince's love life, the sex of it. So check that out if you haven't. But okay, so there's two different stories, and I'm believing one more so than the other, but I'm gonna let y'all decide, kind of like I did in that other episode. Okay, so one rumor says that she found Prince in bed with another woman, and because he was cheating on her, she decided to just up and leave. And another story was she had became so, obsessed with Prince and didn't want to leave him, to the point where her family was starting to worry about her, and was really like, okay, you are obsessed with this man. You're not in love with him. You're obsessed. You need to move away from him. Like they were starting to feel like, I don't know if they were trying to insinuate that, Prince was like kind of trying to keep her there and controlling her, because now we have heard stories about Prince being controlling with his women. So I don't know if that was some of that was going on, possibly, but it seemed like on Kim's end, it really seemed like that she was just head over heels in love with Prince, and supposedly, according to Robin Power, that she even proposed to Prince, and Prince turned her down for the craziest reason. Okay, so according to Robin Power, and for those of you who don't know who Robin Power is, she was a dancer and rapper around the Graffiti Bridge era. She was actually in the movie playing Morris Day's girlfriend. So that's who Robin Power is. So she did an interview with Michael Dean on the Prince podcast on Podcast Juice. And I think it's kind of old now. It was a couple of years ago. Where she said, so the day that Kim Basinger supposedly proposed to Prince, asking him to marry her, he flew Robin Power back out to Paisley Park. And he told her that the reason why he brought her back out there was because, you know, he didn't want to marry her. And the reason why he didn't want to marry her and he wanted to just spend some time with Robin was because she had, get this y'all, wrinkly knees. When Robin Power said this, I bust out laughing because this sounds like something Prince would say, being so the type of petty, king petty that he can be with any and everybody that he chooses to be. And I was like, really, Prince, you didn't want to be with her, marry her, whatever. Like, how long did you know that she had wrinkly knees? Like, I had some follow-up questions that I really wish that Michael Dean would have asked Robin Power, because that whole thing was ridiculous to me. Like, y'all have to check it out. Robin Power, it was like a 3-hour interview, and it's on YouTube. So check that out. Robin, now I will say this about Robin before I move on, because I know I need to finish this countdown. I'm sorry. She's a little different, you know. I don't want to go as far as saying that she might be a little touched, but just something is going on with Robin Power. And if you listen to this interview on YouTube, you'll kind of understand exactly what I mean when I say that. So anyway, so Kim Basinger, sorry, that was really long, too long, sorry. But I just had to get all of that out, because Kim Basinger is just one of those people that, you know, she's one of those women that she was kind of almost like a fly-by-night, but really not at the same time, because it seemed like they really were into each other at one point, but, you know, it just didn't work out. Matter of fact, after she up and left Prince, she left her car at Paisley Park, and he had to get it towed. So I guess she must have ran out in a hurry. So there's that. So number 9, moving on. Number 9, I have Sheena Easton. So Sheena Easton was, I believe now, is she Scottish or Irish? She's one of those. I think she's Scottish singer who started collaborating with Prince around the Purple Rain era. He wrote a song for her for, I think, either her first or second album called Sugar Walls. And that was kind of the beginning of a rather lengthy collaboration. She was also, she did the Arms of Orion with Prince as a duet for the Batman soundtrack. But before that, she did a duet with Prince on the Sign of the Times album with You Got the Look. And I like Sheena. I thought that their little duets that they did together were really good. And I think that they had a musical synergy together. I really, you know, like I said, their duets were great. And they seem to just really vibe musically together. And Sheena would even say that, you know, she appreciated, you know, how Prince, you know, produced one of her albums for her, and how they had that, you know, that musical camaraderie. And supposedly they kind of messed around. Now, I don't know how true, of course, none of this is. And Sheena, I think, for herself, has also denied that they ever had a romantic relationship. But when, you know, you read stuff online, you know, that people that work at Paisley Park claim that, you know, she was there a lot and was, you know, supposedly in Prince's bedroom off and on. So, like I said, you know, you can take this with a grain of salt, but it's just, you know, gossip, you know, water cooler gossip, as they say. So only she knows what really happens. But she seemed to really, like I said, respect Prince's musicianship. And, you know, she often would, you know, quote him as being a genius. But I've also heard that Prince really didn't care for her personality at times, that she was a little bit abrasive. So that makes me think that maybe the rumors of them so-called messing around are probably not true. Because one thing I have noticed about Prince and his preference for certain women is that he kind of prefers demure women that are not very loud or opinionated. He doesn't really care for women like that on a personal level. Now, he might be able to work with them professionally, and because Sheena Easton, you know, was probably kind of like that, and so was Madonna. But he was able to date Madonna, but it was, you know, very, very briefly. I mean, it's just like snap your fingers and they were done. But for the most part, he didn't really care too much for very loud or opinionated women. He liked a woman to be a little bit more, you know, mysterious and, you know, more demure, kind of like him. You know, someone that, you know, was beautiful, but, was just like, very feminine. And, he didn't like, what I'm trying to say. He just didn't really like loud ass women, they would just talk forever. Kind of like what I'm doing right now. He, like me and him, like we could never, only in my mind. So that Sheena Easton is number 9. So moving on to number 8. Number 8, I have Carmen Electra. So Carmen Electra was in the Prince camp during the early 90s. She opened up for him on the Diamonds and Pearls tour. And they met actually through talking about Robin Power once again. Robin Power claims that she was the one who introduced Carmen Electra to Prince. Now, of course, her name was not Carmen Electra. That was the name that Prince gave her. Her name was Tara. Was it Patrick? Is their last name? I can't remember what her last name is, but I think it's Tara Patrick, I believe. That was her name. But Prince transformed her into Carmen Electra. Produced her first, the only album she had, Carmen on Top. And she really wasn't, I hate to say it, but I haven't heard very good things about that record. I haven't had a chance to listen to it, but now she was a pretty good dancer out from what I've seen, but as far as her singing and rapping, I don't really know about all that. So she probably should have just, stuck to the dancing. But, but Prince also, he fell, I think, I don't know how far he fell. So let me not say he fell head over heels. And I think that they really did care a lot about each other. I will say that. But I think for her part, I think Carmen was, very grateful for all the opportunities that the Prince gave her, helping her start her career and, and things like that. But I don't know to the extent of their romantic relationship, if it was kind of like a business as usual type of thing. If Carmen felt like, she had to, be with Prince because Prince was helping her, or how much she really, liked him, or if she was, just trying to be the kept woman. I'm dating this, musician and, he's helping me with my career type thing. It kind of gives me that vibe. And that's, like I said, it's not to say that Carmen didn't, have feelings for him. She might have, but I just really don't know how deep her feelings were for Prince. And at one point, maybe that's why they kind of broke up, because maybe Prince was starting to feel like, okay, maybe she doesn't feel the same way that I feel about her. Or maybe knowing Prince, he just was like, well, I'm dealing with all these other women, and I just, because now, mind you, when he was dealing with Carmen Electra, now he wasn't messing with Mayte, but Mayte was around. And also he was dating Nona Gay at the time. So he kind of had his little harem in the early 90s, kind of like how he did in the 80s with Jill Jones and Susan Moosey and Vanity and all them. So he had a new harem in the 90s of different women that, he was dating at the same time. So like I said, I really don't know how deep their relationship was, but they definitely for sure had a sexual relationship. Derek Damon, who was on the one of the dancers of the Game Boys, with his interview with Michael Dean, he had told her when they went on tour, or maybe before they went on tour, I can't remember what the timeline was, that, hey, don't give up the draws to Prince. In other words, don't sleep with him, because as soon as you have sex with him, then he's going to try to do away with you, because he is wanting to test you for your talent. He wants to put you out there to help you with your music career. But if you want to be his woman, that's a whole nother thing. You're either going to be his woman or you're going to be his business/music partner. Like, he really doesn't want both. And if he does want both, he's going to want it his way, not how you want to do it. So, to make a long story short, she didn't listen to Damon. She ended up giving the draws up. And not too soon after that, she was kicked off of the Diamonds and Pearls tour, because Prince did not like how the audience was responding to her performance. He fired everybody that was in her band except for Morris Hayes. Morris Hayes came on as initially Carmen Electra's keyboard player, but Prince liked him so much that he kept him on, and he would be Prince's keyboard player for the next 20 years almost. So there's that. So Carmen Electra is at number 8. So at number 7 is Nona Gay, who was also dating Prince between 91 till about 93, 94. He was juggling, like I said, between Carter Electra, Nona Gaye, and Mayte, and whoever else. But at least those three for sure. Now, Nona, I'm not exactly sure how they met. But Nona Gaye, for those who don't know, is Marvin Gaye's daughter by his second wife. And actually, her mother just recently passed away, so rest in peace to her. But Nona is a beautiful black woman. And Prince was not known at the time for dating too many black women. Now, he's dated quite a few biracial women. Vanity, for example, she was biracial, so was Jill Jones and others. But he's not really known for dating black women. And a lot of black women have complained about that. But my response to that is, well, I mean, that's his preference. You know, I don't think it was ever a race issue with Prince, but he liked who he liked. And he did date black women. And Nona Gaye was a black woman that he did date for about 2-3 years. Now, how they ended up breaking up is kind of messed up. There's also kind of some murkiness with that. So supposedly Prince broke up with Nona because she was getting on drugs. And Nona denies this, and she said that she was actually blindsided by the fact that he had already proposed to Mayte, and she was showing off a ring one day when they were at this listening party, thinking that, and Nona didn't think anything of it, when she saw Mayte, because she knew Mayte was, a dancer in the MPG, and she might have had her suspicions. But she just was like, well, I mean, Prince is my man. So, of course, women are always around him. And so she probably was, thinking she was secure enough in her relationship with Prince that, he might have been messing around with other women, but we're together when we're together. So when Mayte was flashing this diamond ring and announcing that her and Prince were engaged, Nona apparently was shocked and very hurt. And she said that, she said she had never felt such heartache and pain, emotional pain in all of her life. And she really, really loved Prince, and she didn't understand, how he could just blindside her like that. And hearing this story really, really, my heart really went out to her, because Nona seems like such a good woman. And I really feel like, I really don't know the ins and outs of their personal relationship, but they did do some music together. She was on the song Love Sign, and she's also been on a couple of his unreleased songs, Snowman, which I love, an unreleased song that they did together. Well, actually, she just did the vocals on that song. So like I said, don't know the extent of their relationship, or if it's really true that he broke up with her because of drugs, because that is something that she has denied. But I really, wish that they could have been together a little bit longer. But after Prince died, Nona did comment that, she was heartbroken. So at some point, I think they probably did reconcile and at least become, cordial with one another. But it might have took some time, because if Prince really did, end up doing what he did, and with Mayte behind Nona's back, that's messed up for anybody to have to go through. But like I said, once again, we're only getting one side of the story, so we'll never know Prince's side. So I'm not as quick to, throw, jabs at Prince because of some of his behavior. Now, don't get me wrong. If it is what it is, if Prince is being a dog ass man, I'm gonna call it out. As much as I love Prince, some of his dealings with these women were not cool, So that's just my opinion. So moving on. So number 6 is Miss Sheila E. or Sheila Escovedo. So Sheila E. met Prince, excuse me, at a Al Jura concert in the late 70s. Like right after he signed his first contract with Warner Brothers. And she had just heard about him from just around in the Bay Area when he would be out there kind of, performing and getting his band together, and they would do perform at, little places out there in the Bay Area. And so they kind of struck up a friendship, and she ended up purchasing his first album, and she said in her book that she had put up the poster that was in his first album and put it in her room. and she had dreamed about meeting him because she loved his green eyes. And so I was like, I thought Prince had like blue eyes. I mean, not blue eyes, brown eyes, but okay, whatever. So Sheila E. wrote a book in 2014, like a memoir, and I can't think of the name of it right now. I think, The Beat of My Own Drum. I think that's what it's called. And in this book, she kind of really details their relationship. Now, of course, Sheila E. is very, very musically talented as a drummer and as a percussionist. And that is what initially, I'm pretty sure, what initially attracted Prince to her, in addition to her being a very nice looking woman, of course. And they did collaborate on a lot of different projects. She was probably the only protege that was able to get 3 albums for Prince to produce. Of course, The Glamorous Life, Romance 1600, and Sheila E. And so they were another couple that I thought were just musically in sync with one another, more so than he was with Sheena Easton, more so than he was with any other woman. I think he really musically collaborated well with Sheila E. And I think that she understood him, especially his musician side, more so than any of the other women that he dealt with, because she was so musically talented as well. And so that's why I think that, they were able to connect on that level. But as far as their personal life, Sheila, I think, was another woman that put up with a lot of Prince's philandering, because it was something, being in the music business and being around other musicians, it was something that she said that she was used to. Like, she was used to, for example, she said that she dated Carlos Santana, which was actually an idol of Prince's. And she claims that she didn't know he was married. I don't think that's true, but that was her claim. But she said that, she didn't know that he was married because Carlos was not only messing with her, but messing with other women too. And so when she got into a relationship with Prince, and this had to be around 1984, around the Purple Rain tour, as she said, when they first started sleeping together, that she kind of knew that he was, with Susanna and at the time, and that he was also still messing with Vanity and Jill Jones. Now, I say Vanity, even though now Vanity had left by the time of the Purple Rain tour had started, but there were still rumors that, they were still hooking up every now and then. I don't know how true that is, but I do know for sure that he was still messing with Jill Jones, and he was very heavily involved with Susanna Melvoin, Wendy Melvoin's twin sister at this time. So she was aware of all this. And in her book, she makes a lot of different claims. Like, she claims that she would bake this, was it lemon cake for Prince that he really loved, because Prince was, he had a, what do you call it? He loved sugar. He had a sweet tooth. Yeah. And so when he was recording in the studio, he really wouldn't eat like regular meals a lot. He would really like cookies, cakes, candy, that type of stuff. That was more the stuff that Prince would eat when he would eat at all. That's what he would eat. And so she claimed that she would bake him this lemon cake that she really loved. And after Prince died, Apollonia on Facebook put out this long post about how Sheila E. was a liar and this and that. And I don't know why Apollonia felt like she had to come for Sheila E. like that. I don't know what prompted that. I'll have to find out, because it was like right after he died, like the same year in 2016. And if I find it, I'll have to put up some screenshots, but I think they probably deleted it by now. But anyway, so in her book, Sheila claims she made another kind of outrageous claim that Prince proposed to her, but he didn't propose to her with a ring. And he supposedly proposed to her during a concert when he was doing the song Purple Rain. So I don't know about y'all, but I don't know how plausible that story is. And I'm not just going to outright say that she's a liar. I'm not going to go there and say that. But I'll just say that she might be, I don't know, have some, what we call them, alternative facts, or maybe even stretching the truth a little bit. And the reason why I say that, because if Prince really wanted to be engaged to her, he he would have gave her a ring, because he did that with Susanna Melvoin. When he proposed to Susanna, when they were filming Under the Cherry Moon, he had a ring. So that man, and of course we know Prince loves jewelry. The man wore rings all the time on his fingers. So and necklaces and, you know, bracelets, and, you know, he was a jewelry guy. So that makes me think that there's something else, you know, off about this story, about this proposal with no ring. So after she made some of these claims, and of course his book came out in 2014, excuse me, while Prince was still living. So after this book came out, they kind of fell out, and they did not reconnect to make up before Prince's passing, unfortunately. And reportedly Prince was very upset with Sheila E., called her a liar, and was just like, why did you put this out here? You know, he didn't really, you know, like his personal business, whether it was true or not. You know, he didn't like that. And so they had a big falling out, which was unfortunate, because they were friends for many friends and lovers for a very, very, you know, long period of time. Because of course, Sheila E. would come back in the early 2000s and the 2010s to collaborate with Prince. She did some appearances with him on Ellen DeGeneres, and I think she did some award shows where she was the drummer for him on some performances, on some live TV performances. And I think she was also on the Musicology tour with some dates. So they ended up hooking up again. So I don't know the extent of that relationship when they kind of hooked back up in the early 2000s. But I know from about 84, so about 88, they were kind of together off and on. Now, she was also his drummer during the Sign of the Times, Love Sexy era. And then after she stopped being his drummer and she kind of left, they kind of, stopped. I don't know if they stopped communicating. I don't know what their relationship was in the 90s. But by the time they got back together in the 2000s, it was just like, they just seemed to fit well together. And I just hate that, she didn't get the closure. I don't think that she got the closure that she needed when Prince died, because she was very outspoken, and she felt that, she said that she was angry that Prince had died, and she didn't understand why that had happened. And so she had the same sentiment that a lot of us Purple fans had about his death. But I still feel like that Sheila E., despite everything, that she really, really loved Prince. And I think that he really loved and cared about her too. But I really feel like that maybe that relationship was a little one-sided. Because she kind of acted like she wanted to be the female Prince. And sometimes even now with her performances, she'll do the, and she'll just kind of dress like him and try to act like him. And she would try to practice her band for hours on end like Prince would do. And she even said that she had, kind of almost became like a bitch at one point, because she wanted to just, she had this need to be perfect. And I don't know if she was doing it just for her and for her own, abilities, or if she was also doing it to impress Prince. Because Sheila, I just have this feeling that she's the type of woman where if she wants to really impress her man, she's going to go all out. But at the same time, in her book, she made it seem like she really didn't, date too many people, and she would always have men. Being a female drummer in the music industry is not, the easiest gig. And so she would often have men, demean her, belittle her, and, always hit on her all the time. And so she would always, have to deflect all the time. But it was something about Prince. She said she loved that, he knew how to play the hell out of the guitar and thought he was sexy already. So those two things right there, she was finna be gone anyway. So moving on. So that is Miss Sheila E. So moving on, number 5 is Manuela Testolini, I think is how you say her name. So Manuela is Prince's second wife, who he married on December 31st of 2001. They met and connected through philanthropy work. And I talk about this in my episode talking about Prince's philanthropy. And it took me a long time, y'all, if y'all remember, for me to know how to say that word philanthropy. For the longest, I could not say it. So I'm happy. I'm clapping myself up for saying it right. So they met through his philanthropy work. His organization, Love for One Another, which is still an active 501c4. I want to say C4, but I'm not sure what the designation is. But anyway, so Love for One Another was a charity organization that Prince founded. And actually during the late 90s, like 97, 98, around the time that he was doing the Jam of the Year tour, he would actually put on charitable concerts. So he would come to a town, throw a concert, and the proceeds would go to a local nonprofit organization. And it was around this time, 99, 98, that he, I don't know if he hired Manuela directly or if someone on his team, more likely someone on his team, hired Manuela as an assistant to his nonprofit organization. And eventually she became his personal assistant. And it was also around this time where, now mind you, he's still married to his first wife, Mayte, that he was starting to get into the Jehovah's Witness faith, at least learning more about it because of Larry Graham, who, of course, was the basis for Sly and the Family Stone. But by the late 90s, he had formed his own band and was doing a tour. And him and Prince actually met up at a concert in Memphis. And anyway, so they kind of, started a friendship. And Mayte, of course, details this, goes in great detail about this in her book. And she said that she just didn't really understand a lot of premises of the faith. And to be honest, I don't either. But look, for any Jehovah's Witnesses listening to this, I'm not trying to throw any shots at anybody's religion. But there was just, about the whole not celebrating birthdays. And I mean, someone would have to explain why they believe some of the things that they believe, But anyway, so she was kind of like me. She was kind of turned off by some of the things about the Jehovah's Witness faith. But Manuela, on the mean hand, was embracing it. And she actually would end up converting to Jehovah's Witness. I don't know if it's right before they got married or right after they got married. I'm not sure. Or while they were dating. Probably while they were dating, I think. And so, in Prince's mind, Manuela was like the perfect woman for him because she embraced his faith. And they seemed, for the most part, to have a good marriage until they, divorced and separated. And so their divorce, I believe, was kind of swift. And it was just a few years ago where a judge in Minneapolis, or a judge somewhere in Minnesota, rather, wanted to get that divorce, the settlement, unsealed. I think it was something that the Prince estate had requested for some reason. I can't remember. And Manuela wanted to contest that because she wanted, the settlement and all that kept private. But anyway, she wasn't able to win that. And because Manuela ended up suing Prince for alimony in 2011, which I think was the same year that she married Eric Benet, I believe. Because they were divorced. I think their divorce was final by like 2006. So I don't know what made her wait 5 years to try to get some alimony. But anyway, so she ended up getting, because when they initially divorced, she only got like $250,000. She really didn't get that much money. So I guess she was trying to go back and try to get more money out of Prince. And and when you think about stuff about that kind of makes you not like Manuela. But hey, look, you try to get your money, girl. I'm not, I'm not no hater. Like, do what you got to do. And like I said, her and Prince connected through philanthropy. Look, I almost messed up. And they seem to really love each other. I mean, he wrote the song Call My Name about her on Musicology, so he really appreciated, whatever it is that she brought to their marriage. And I'm not sure exactly what went wrong. But I know at one point he had locked her out of the house that they had in, because she's from Canada. And so he had locked her, he had the locks changed on the house in Canada. And then she wasn't, supposedly she wasn't allowed at Paisley Park for a little while either. So I don't know why all that happened. But also on the song Fury, which is on 3121, is supposedly about the downfall of their marriage. And so I don't know. I don't know what led to their demise, but I thought they were a really cute couple. And a lot of people though don't like Manuela because they feel like, you know, she was a home wrecker because she was probably messing with Prince when he was still married to Mayte. But if we're being honest, Prince probably cheated on Mayte with more than just Manuela. So, I mean, yeah, Manuela was wrong for what she possibly did because we really don't know. Because Mayte said in her book that she kept on, you know, asking Manuela about, okay, when did their, you know, sexual relationship start? And she kept on pushing it back, saying that it was, you know, after Mayte had moved out of Paisley Park. And, you know, because Mayte at one point was staying, you know, in the house that they had bought in Spain. And she made a comment that, you know, the woman that is in Paisley Park, that is the woman that he wants to be with. If you are not in Paisley Park and you are so-called dating Prince, then you are not his woman. And she said that, you know, whoever's in Minneapolis, that's his woman. If you are somewhere else, which at this point she was in Spain, Mayte she was like, I knew then that, you know, when he was, you know, insisted upon, you know, me moving to staying at this house in Spain, that, you know, that somebody was gonna, you know, sweep in. And sure enough, it was Manuela. But she said that they, you know, talked it out and that Manuela did apologize and that, you know, and they're pretty good friends to this day. They're not like buddy, I don't think, but they're, you know, they're pretty good friends. So, Mayte was on this, reality show called Hollywood Exes, and one of the very first episodes was of Mayte and Manuela having lunch outside at this cafe. And Manuela, who of course went on to marry Eric Benet and have two beautiful daughters by him, she was showing Mayte pictures of the girls, and Mayte was just like, oh, you know, kind of reminiscing about, you know, Amir, the son that she had with Prince, and just kind of regretting that, you know, she was never able to have children, which was kind of sad. But I can see just based on their camaraderie that they seem to really like each other, and, you know, there was no hard feelings between them, which is really nice. So that's Manuela at number 5. At number 4 is Mayte Garcia, which was Prince's first wife, who he initially met when she was 16 years old. She was a belly dancer, and the video of her belly dancing was passed off by her mother, Nelly, or is it Nell? I think it's Nell, to a bodyguard of Prince's during the nude tour. And he checked it out, and eventually they started being pen pals, and, you know, he would invite her over and they would just watch TV and do things like that. Now, there are some things that, you know, made you kind of want to go, huh? With her being, you know, 16, 17 years old. And a lot of people are like, well, he was grooming her. And if that's your opinion, that's your opinion. But I really do believe that the grooming was more so done by Mayte's mother. But I'll go into that in more detail when I talk about Mayte's book that she put out right after Prince's death, and her memoir, The Most Beautiful. Because, and the reason why I say that is because Mayte's mother had even told Mayte at a young age to lie about her age. And would just do little things like that just to, you know, help make them more money, because her mother was also a belly dancer. And there were things like that she said in the book that just kind of made me, you know, kind of gave me pause, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to say that Prince did. I mean, because of course they were not intimate until she was 19. And she really, you know, expresses that in the book, that they really had a very much platonic friendship in the beginning until she was 19, and then they had more of a sexual relationship, and then they eventually, you know, got engaged and got married. So it wasn't what I would call a whirlwind. Maybe it was for Maite at the time, but Maite is a beautiful woman, of course, and I like her personality, but there's some things about her that I don't like. But like I said, I really don't have enough time to get into it here. But Maite is someone that I would love to meet, and just like to, she stays out in Las Vegas, I believe, and she has a kind of like a pet grooming business that she does because she loves animals, and she makes references to this also in her book as well. So a lot of people think that, there's these groups that either like Maite or hate her. And I'm kind of in between with Maite. I don't hate her and I don't just love her. You know what I'm saying? Which in the end, it doesn't matter because he married her, and she knows how their marriage was, and no one else can really speak on it but her. So there's that. So number 3 is Susannah Melvoin, who was, of course, the twin sister of Revolution guitarist. What is her? Wendy. I don't know why I be forgetting people's names, y'all. So Wendy. So Susannah actually met Prince at a Christmas party for Warner Brothers that Warner Brothers was throwing for their musical artists. And she said that it was around the time that Vanity was getting ready to leave the group, leave the camp, that she wasn't going to be doing Purple Rain. And he just said that he cornered her in a bathroom and kissed her all on her face. And she said it was kind of weird, but at the same time, she kind of dug it. And after that, they just kind of hooked up. And he supposedly, not supposedly, he was with her when Purple Rain was, while the shooting for Purple Rain was going on, during the Purple Rain tour, the whole Purple Rain phenomenon, he was with Susannah. But as we know, he wasn't just with Susannah, because he was still seeing Jill Jones, might have even been still seeing Susan Moosey as well. But Susannah, he really, really, I think, fell in love with. And he has wrote several songs about her. Adore probably being the most well-known. One of my favorites, a lot of people's favorites. He wrote Adore about her. He also wrote Forever in My Life about her. And he just really, and let me see what else. I think that's it. But there are probably some other songs too where he kind of makes mentions of, his love for her without, of course, mentioning her name. And Susannah, I think, was probably his most serious relationship that he had in the 80s. And I think had they stayed together, they could have probably went the distance. But Prince being Prince, and just, quite frankly, him just being a hoe, he just could not be faithful to her. And that led to, personal problems within the Revolution, especially with her twin sister, Wendy. It put Wendy in a situation where, okay, her boss is dating her sister, but, he's her boss, and so it just, a lot of things were going on, which I talk about in one of my episodes about when the Revolution disbanded, how that was an issue. It was a professional and a personal issue that led to the demise of the Revolution. But anyway, so Susannah is number 3. So finally, number 2, not finally, we've got one more, is Miss Denise Matthews, also known as Vanity. Now, Vanity met Prince at the American Music Awards in 1980, and she was actually supposedly there with Rick James as his date, and they got to talking backstage, and Prince asked to see if he could wear her jacket and escort him to the bathroom, and Denise was like, no, I'm not taking you to no bathroom. Like, what's wrong with you? And when she noticed that when he took the jacket off, that he didn't have nothing on underneath, like he was bare chested. And she said from there, she knew that was, Prince was her kind of guy. And so they just kind of hooked up after that. And they had a very, very passionate romance. She talked about in her book, their sex life was just on fire, and that he was such a great lover, and they connected on all levels, But I think their relationship was really, really toxic. And I talk about that in the Sex of It episode. And when I get to Vanity, her episode in the Purple Kingdom, I'm going to really go into more detail about it. But a lot of people have, like I said, rose-colored glasses about their relationship, saying that they were soulmates because they died so close to each other. And I will say this, I really felt like Vanity was probably the woman that Prince never got over, because there were a lot of women that he would date that looked that favored her. Manuela, his second wife, really favored Vanity. There were other women like Anana Lewis and Rosario Dawson and Chile. These were women that kind of favored Vanity, in my opinion, that he would date in the 90s. And so because of that, I really do feel like he did have a very deep connection with her and really did love her. And I think that Vanity broke his heart when she left. I do. And he wrote The Beautiful Ones about her. And he, kind of said, but didn't say in an interview in 2015 that The Beautiful Ones was about her. And she was beautiful. She was smoking hot. And I just hate that, she died the way she did. And then we lost Prince 2 months after her. So they did definitely have a beautiful connection in some ways. And in some ways, not. So finally, number 1, we have Miss Fabulous herself, Jill Jones. Miss She's Always in My Hair. She's always in my hair. So I just did an episode about Jill Jones. So y'all already know how I feel about her, how real she was, how much she loved Prince, how much she cared for him, how much she was always that down chick for him, how much she put up with all of his shit. Like she just, just wanted to be there for him. And they met when she was a background singer for Tina Marie. And Tina Marie will go on to be the opening act for Prince on the Dirty Mind tour. And that's how they met. But from about 1982 to about 1990, they were involved with one another, both professionally and personally. She did a lot of background and vocal work on the 1999 and Purple Rain albums. She would also put out her own album, Mia Boca, in 1987 that Prince would produce. And she was in the Purple Rain movie. She was in Graffiti Bridge movie. And just, she was just in Prince's camp for almost 10 years and 8 years as his off and on girlfriend. So that's a long time, and like I said, I know that she deeply cared about Prince, and I think that Jill was the one that got away. A lot of people say that it was Vanity, but in my mind, it was Jill. She was the one who got away. And that is the reason why she is my number 1. So I'm going to end it there because we're almost at an hour. So thank you guys for listening. And until the next episode, let me see, what am I doing next time? I'm going to finally review Kim Berry's book, Diamonds and Curls. And let me tell y'all guys, that book is, I don't want to say it's a hot mess, but it's a hot mess. So stay tuned for that. But thank you guys for listening. My top 10 purple ladies, let me go ahead before I end it and redo the list for you. So at number 10, we got Kim Basinger. Number 9, Sheena Easton. Number 8, Carmen Electra. Number 7, Nona Gay. Number 6, Sheila E. 5, Manuela. 4, Maite. 3, Susanna Melvoin. 2, Vanity. And number 1, Jill Jones. And I do have 2 honorable mentions real quick. I know I keep saying I'm going to end. I'm like a preacher. I'm done, but not done. Apollonia and Cat Glover. Cat Glover, of course, was his dancer during the Sign of the Times, Love Sexy era. And I really liked her, her attitude, and of course her dancing was wonderful. But she was another one that, maybe could have had something with Prince more than professional, but she always, denied that they were anything but friends. And, and maybe they were not. I don't know. But I always liked Cat. I always thought she was cool. Apollonia, well, I'll say this about her. She's smart. She's very pretty. But lately she's been making some dubious claims about, her songwriting credits. And I'm not going to say that she's totally lying, but because Prince was known to keep credits from people. But I don't know. I don't know if now Manic Monday, I can maybe see her maybe writing or co-writing, but I don't know about The Glamorous Life, because I think that Prince had wrote that and even recorded that even before he met Apollonia, I believe. So I don't think that's true. But, she would make these dubious claims. And, she, in her interview with Vlad, she talked about how she felt like she was Prince's widow and all this mess. And Apollonia is interesting. She's another one that just kind of makes you go, Between her and Sheila E., it's just like, they some interesting women. I'll just say that. So those are my two honorable mentions, because I really don't have enough time to get in, detail with them. So, because I got to end the episode. So thank you guys for listening. And as always, peace and be wild, and may you live to see the dawn. Bye.